Many organizations really want to know what, in the immediate term, are the leadership capabilities that they should most focus on developing. So if you were going to give any company a short list of the things that they most need to think about, what would those be? And one way of addressing that question is we have recognized, and many people have, that with the baby boomer generation retiring, there are leaders, large numbers of leaders, disappearing from our organizations in unprecedented numbers. And at the same time, this is going on around the developed world, and at the same time in the developing world, the demand for leaders is growing at an exponential rate. So all of us are in the same situation. We all need leadership capabilities. Well, as a firm, Hay Group has been collecting literally hundreds of thousands of assessments, millions of assessments of leaders from every industry, every sector, every country that you could imagine. And so we took advantage of this incredible resource and asked, what is it about the individuals who are in leadership roles who are about to retire in the next 5 or 10 years that is very different from the generation behind them? So what are the capabilities and competencies that they bring to their work that we're really going to be feeling the loss of in 5 to 10 years because the leaders behind them have those capabilities at a much lesser degree, and these capabilities are really needed in order to deal with the challenges of the future. So we took a look at the group of leaders who are about to retire, and we compared them to the generation behind them, and we said, so what really differentiates these two groups? And we found what I think is actually a really compelling leadership development agenda. There are 4 competencies that retiring leaders have at a very high level, and the next generation behind them has them at a substantially lower level. The first competency is what we call organizational awareness. Organizational awareness refers to a really deep understanding of and a real facility with the power structure and the political dynamics of an organization. It's very important for understanding how things really get done in organizations and how to navigate those paths gracefully. The second thing we found is that the retiring leaders have a competency we call impact and influence. It's an array of complex informal influence strategies. So they have ways of exercising influence that rely not just on formal authority, but on understanding what other people value and want, by understanding how to give purpose and meaning. They have a whole array of different ways of exercising influence in others as well. The third thing that these retiring leaders have is they have long-term horizons. They're much more likely to be thinking about what kind of contribution they want to make 2 or 3 years out, what effectiveness, what growth, what performance is going to look like in the long term rather than in the immediate short term, and they have the capacity to strategize and to build structures and systems to deal with these much longer time horizons. And then finally, there's one that turns out to be the one that's most critical in most of the leadership situations that we studied, and that is a competency that we call team leadership. Can a leader mobilize a diverse group of people, not necessarily people that report to her, to come together around a common purpose that's genuinely compelling, and then create the conditions for this group of people to collaborate effectively? And this team leadership capability turns out to be extremely important for more and more leadership challenges that leaders are facing these days, from leading in a complex matrix. That's the job, which is to invite people to come together from different parts of the organization to articulate a compelling purpose and to help mobilize them around that to actually accomplish something for the organization. Many more cross-organizational negotiations and alliances, even alliances that are happening between the government sector, the public sector, and the private sector alike, really require these kinds of informal team leadership capabilities. So all 4 of these competencies are critical. We see them all as an urgent leadership development agenda, and all 4 are disappearing at a pretty alarming rate from our leadership population as the baby boomers retire.